Episode 203.
A long time ago, I told my staff, we are making no more changes in our company at all. No changes. And they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. I go, however, we are going to continuously make improvements.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Welcome, automotive aftermarket professionals, to Remarkable Results Radio. Hey, this is Carm Capriato, your host. And welcome to episode 203 with Russell McCloud, shop owner and county supervisor from Yuma, Arizona. Hey, this episode is made possible by Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Now, they are the reason you enjoy these interviews twice per week. When you need innovation and quality, you need Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Brands like Moog, Felpro, Wagner Brake, Anco, Champion, Seal Power, FP Diesel, and more. They're the parts techs trust. Find out more at fmmotorparts.com. Hey, you can find this week's show notes with Russell McCloud at remarkableresults.biz/E203. I love it when you connect with me on Facebook, like new friends Jason Bonert, Pete Landry, and Zachary Hampton, and to my new LinkedIn connections, Toby Wilson, Michael Nardone, and Eddie Basley. Welcome, new friends. I always love hearing from you, so connect with me with an idea for a show or a guest suggestion. My email is carm@remarkableresults.biz, and I read them all. Hey, you know I'm passionate about building a stronger aftermarket. So besides the power of the twice-weekly podcast, you now have a new source for information. The Town Hall Live Forum every Friday at 12 noon Eastern. Go to remarkableresults.biz/townhall and sign up just once to be in the webinar audience each week. We also broadcast live on Facebook at 12 noon Eastern every Friday. Now, the Town Hall Live shows are archived on the website, and you'll be extremely impressed with the quality of these forums. Watch them like a documentary and learn like a seminar. I promise your time will be well spent. Each week is a single subject discussed by your industry peers. It was so cool to meet aftermarket professionals that are fans of the show, and they were showing me the Remarkable Results Radio app on their phone as I experienced Vision KC in March of 2017. And you can get it too. It's free. Just go to your app store, search for Remarkable Results Radio, and install. Minutes later, you have access to every episode. How cool is that? Now, meet Russell McCloud. I was so interested in interviewing the second-generation shop owner once I found out he was the county supervisor of Yuma County. Russell shares his business story as he talks about the third generation joining the business and how he sees the opportunities and challenges in the industry. The business Accurate Automotive Attention has been an institution in Yuma for 47 years and started by his dad and now run by Russell, his sister Michele, and his brother-in-law. Russell has his AAM designation from AMI and shares what his motivation was to enter politics and his re-election in his post in the last 13 years. He talks about his pro-service coaching group, automotive education, and a few ideas on how he is working on customer retention. Now enjoy this very frank and very honest discussion with Russell McCloud. A warm welcome to Russell McCloud from Accurate Automotive Attention in Yuma, Arizona.
Hi, good afternoon, Carm.
Hey, welcome, Russell. Glad to have you. I'm fascinated by the name of the company. Now, I know it's a legacy, third generation. How does Accurate Automotive Attention all come together?
Well, as you can imagine, it's a lot of fun trying to market it because it is a very long name. And it's just a very simple deal. Back in the day, back in 1969, Mom and Dad put their heads together, and he wanted to be first in the phone book. So that's what he came up with, Accurate Automotive Attention.
Wow, that's simple. See, I was trying to overthink it.
No, it's really as simple as that, believe it or not. So
well, good for you. Family business. And I know that you're also the supervisor of what, Yuma County?
Yes, it's an elected position, Yuma County Board of Supervisors. In some areas of the country, you might know them as commissioners or judges. And I lost my mind about 13 years ago and decided to run for political office and was surprised to be successful.
Well, you are my first shop owner, politician, and I'm not sure where this interview is going to go. I mean, my. So it's interesting, and I'd love to see how that connects. Obviously, you must have a heck of a team behind you to allow you to take care of the people you serve.
Yes, I am richly blessed. My sister and brother-in-law both work in the company, so they handle, day-to-day issues that might come up if I'm not here. And with modern technology, I'm typically accessible anyway via text message, phone call, and they don't have to reach out very often, but when they do, I'm usually available to them, even if I'm in a meeting.
Got it.
So it works very well. We've got a great team in place. I figured out about 14 years ago, I had a motor vehicle accident and ended up, they put me in a coma for 6 weeks, 6 more weeks of rehab. It was a very interesting experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but had to learn to do everything, feed myself, walk, everything over again. And when I got back to work, it was about 4 months later before I was able to come in the office for even an hour. And in all of that time, they had one thing they needed me to do, and that was write a letter on an issue that had come up a couple of weeks before. So I knew then that the right team was in place to keep things going, even if something happened to me.
What's your biggest takeaway from that unfortunate accident?
It's really what led me to run for political office. When I was in high school, I got pulled out of class. I will never know how I was chosen, along with 1 or 2 other students. And they took us downtown to meet the mayor, and it was Student Government Day. And the mayor showed us around, and when we walked into City Hall, saw all those chairs and the dais, I thought, that's cool. Someday I'd love to do that. So following that Jeep accident, I realized, you don't always have the time you think you do. And, life can throw twists and turns at you. So I thought, you know what? It's something I've wanted to do, so I better just get up and do it.
A spark from high school? You said high school?
Yes, in high school, yeah.
A spark from high school got you into being in politics.
Right. I just thought it was really cool that you could join with a few other people and make an impact on your community. So
now, does the job that you have, county supervisor, right? Does that,
right.
Is that pretty much full time?
It is considered a full-time job. So what I do, I come into the office every day where I've been for years, and I do all my county business from my work computer. And people want to come see me. They just call me or see me here at my office. And so I use that as my home base. I don't have an office in the county administration building like some of the other supervisors. So I've even had congressmen come to this office. They didn't mind.
I find it exciting. I find it interesting. I find it almost old-fashioned to the degree that that's what politics or serving the people or serving your country, serving your county was really about. It was about taking people from the community and engaging them, and especially as a businessman. What kind of business acumen have you brought to county government?
It's funny you asked that. That was my campaign slogan, to bring business sense to county government.
Wow.
And so, you can't really run government like a business, but you can bring some of the principles to it. And so, and especially customer service, that's the problem. Who likes going to the motor vehicle department, right? For your license or to register your car, all of the things you have to do when you interact with government. The problem is they don't have competition. It's a single source. So they don't have to provide excellent customer service in order to stay in business. So promoting excellent customer service was definitely a top priority.
Did you find that it was culture, attitude? You bring up this great point. I mean, about auto bureaus. You go to them, and it's like getting a root canal. And
yeah,
and there are I've read a lot of books. I've seen a lot of politicians make a difference. And realize that person that we're dealing with really is our customer, is the taxpayer, and they right. they should have certain expectations, and we need to fill them. How effective have you been at getting that message across?
Well, it's interesting. It takes years to get things changed. It's the best piece of advice I got once I was elected is don't try to go into government and do it like you would do your business. You will drive yourself crazy, you'll drive others around you crazy, and you'll be ineffective. That was great advice. You just have to be patient. But one of the things that really bothered me was with the development services, where you have to go to take, building plans and things like that. And developers would go in, they would get comments back, they would address the comments, take it back in, then another division would do comments. And so this back and forth would take weeks. What I finally got them to understand is it's not just a little bit of time. That developer has large loans out. So there's another interest payment that they can't ever get back. So we need to speed this process up. So now we have an excellent process in place where a single point of contact is responsible to shepherd the whole plans through the whole thing. And if they miss something, unless it's life safety, they can't take it back. So they've got to get it right the first time. Saves a lot of time.
How long did it take you to affect that change?
6 years.
Oh. Okay, so you're at that for 13, right? 13 years?
I'm beginning my 13th year.
You're beginning your 13th year. You get elected every 4 years?
It's a 4-year term, yes.
When
I started, if you'd have told me I'd still be doing this 13 years later, I would have said you're crazy.
Okay, Russell, why do you keep getting elected?
I think the public recognizes when you're trying to do a good job. It was, almost like an acknowledgement of the hard work that I've put in, that they didn't even run an opponent in this past election. So it was easy street for me. And, it's a validation of what you've been trying to do, because that means there's not a group of people out there saying, we got to get this guy out of office. And, and it's fun. It's a fun job. You get to help people. People come to you with problems, and sometimes you're able to solve the problem. A lot of times it's just getting them to the right person. And other times it's explaining in layman's terms why something is like it is. And then you affect policy for your community.
Well, it's interesting to hear you talk about this. They didn't run someone against me. I must be doing a good job. And you're affecting positive change, and it takes a long time. In your last platform, did you go out and say, listen, we're making headway, but I got to stay at it, so keep me in another 4 years?
No, really, it was as simple as nobody filed to run. Wow. And so this was an easy one, but in the past it's been kind of like that. Yeah. Okay. Look, we've tried to keep taxes low and run an efficient government. We are under our taxing limit. And so that's not easy to do. There's always never enough money, and it's easy to think, well, this program or that thing would be good, but you still got to keep a lid on it.
Got it. I'm talking with Mike Zralik, a technical product specialist with Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Mike, are you an extension of the technical support center we all know as Garage Guru?
Most definitely. I spend a lot of time there. I'm involved in all the classes that go on there. I actually host classes there, such as our ASC test prep courses. So very much so an extension of that.
Mike, you're in the shop. So what's the greatest outcome that you see from the techs and service advisors that you're spending time with?
Not only are they learning about great product, but we get to talk shop. So I was in a shop earlier today, and we were talking about some electrical diagnosis he was doing, and he was actually having a problem finding some schematics, and we were able to work with that and talk back and forth. So I was able to get educated on a problem he's having in the field, where I can share that with others, and I can share other ideas from other people with him.
Do you actually put product in the hands of the technicians?
You have to. That's, in this industry, a lot of guys are like myself. You got to touch it, feel it, play with it. Just telling them about features and benefits isn't going to sell it. You put it in their hands, that's going to sell it hands down.
So you take the new Wagner OEX brake pad and you put it in someone's hands. What happens?
First thing they do is say, wow. And then they start asking questions about the unique design of it, the unique shape, and the purpose of that. And they're very blown away by the technology that we put into it. They're amazed by it, and they're loving it.
Eyes light up, aha moments.
You bet. And why is it taking so long to get this out in the market?
And I need them, and I want it right now.
Exactly.
Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Garage Gurus is your go-to source for the vehicle training, technology, and answers you need to keep your next job on track. On-site, online, or on demand, the Gurus are here to help keep your business and your career on the road to success. Visit fmgarageguru.com. I know our listeners are wondering, hey, when are we going to talk automotive? But I'm fascinated by the fact that you're a county supervisor, a politician, and you're bringing your business acumen to government. Now, so I think about you're working for the county in your business, and when you pull yourself apart, and you give of yourself to the people of Yuma. By the way, how big is Yuma County?
Yuma County is right at 200,000 persons.
All right, okay, all right, that's fairly large size.
The city of Yuma, where our business is that I'm in every day, is about 100,000. So it's got about half the population.
Got it. Now, what part of Arizona is it?
We are in the very southwest part of the state, so we border both California and Mexico.
Wow, interesting.
So it makes for an interesting dynamic.
Well, let's not even go there. But if I was doing any other kind of show than an automotive interview show, I would say, let's talk about that border thing right now. But anyway, so I look at you working in the business with your sister and brother-in-law. Now, are they doing all the day-to-day?
Yes. Yeah, it's a great gig. They do all the work and I get all the credit. So,
oh man, so you're a politician. There you go. I love it.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Me either. I'm just thinking that you just said it. You got a good gig. So tell me about the business. It's been there since you said the 60s.
1969, Dad started it, yes.
Wow. And what was the culture back then? What was he trying to do for the people?
He wanted to open a shop that was based upon integrity and good customer service, giving people a fair shake. He wanted them to have an alternative. And so he opened up actually right next door to the Ford dealership at the time and opened his doors. And the first customer was a guy by the name of Jack Culver. Brought his truck in for a tune-up, and he had a AC shop just down the street. So he opened up, and I sometimes tell people that when he opened his doors, he had no customers, right? So here come that Jack, that first one. And so every customer is important to us like that. Because without them, we don't exist. So
when you think about the industry that we're in today and the challenges that exist, what are, and again, you're not in it face to face every day, and I love the fact that you're at the business running it, but yet, what do you know of the challenges, the marketing, the technician issues, the shortages in hiring good people? Tell me about how you see it from your position.
Well, it's like anything else. So much has changed, right? Technology changes everything, and marketing is different. I'm working on some of that this morning. That's one of my responsibilities, is the marketing end. And so now you've got social media and other ways of marketing that you have to pay attention to. And, we all know about the technician shortage, but I think it's interesting because the industry is becoming so technologically advanced that you're not looking at the, quote unquote mechanic anymore. We need to recruit young men and women who know electricity and know electronics and know their way around the laptop. And so those are the challenges that I see coming, and as it has been for the past 20 years, keeping up with technology. Every
time a guest gives me an answer, I just go off and think of a million follow-up questions. And one of them is about the schools. And I'm not sure how effective your county government is with schools, but vocational schools, there's a big discussion about the technician shortage. Many entrepreneurs say, hey, there isn't a technician shortage. I figured it out. We're doing great things to educate our team. We're working with the local colleges and the high schools. We're building mentoring programs. So from a county supervisor's perspective, knowing that you've got an automotive aftermarket service business, have you ever had a chance to get up in front of schools or principals or your elected town school board members and say, hey, what's going on with your vocational education in your county? I guess my point.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. Great question. We just recently passed what we call a JTED, Joint Technical Education District.
Okay.
Yuma County was the only county in Arizona that did not have one. And so we were just successful 2 years ago in getting the voters to approve that district, and it's forming now. And you can bet I've asked to be involved and on board with that, to give them input. It's moving slowly, but they'll get there. And we have a good community college here, and we've been involved with them for quite a while, being on their advisory board. And we want young men and women to get an education and also work in the shop, because we can give them the best education.
So that you do have automotive VOTEC training programs in college and in high school?
Yes. And in the high schools, yes. Several of the high schools have it. So it's not as strong as it once was, but that's another issue that we're working on.
Got it. Now, Russell, where are the students going to work after they come out?
A lot of them leave. They leave Yuma and they go to the larger cities, the Phoenix metro area, Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe. So that's where a lot of them go to. A few go over to California, but that's where the majority go to.
Okay.
So we are working now to get 4-year degrees here. And we've got General Motors has a test track here. And so they've helped develop an engineering program for the students there. And, a lot of them, because of the military force that we have here, a lot of them try to get on out at Proving Ground and do those defense contractor jobs. So a lot of competition for young talent.
Excellent. Thanks for taking me down that pathway. Now, let's go back to the business. What percentage of your business is repair versus maintenance?
I would say that more than 50% anymore is maintenance repairs that we're selling.
Well, that's great.
Yes. Yeah. People, we're very big on maintenance. It's one of the things that we work on. We have a maintenance special, we call it, that includes an oil change, by the way. And so that's how we try to sell it. Here's this maintenance special. And, oh, by the way, there's an oil change that goes with it. But it's very effective, because when somebody is willing to pay for that, that means they're expecting to get a report from you on what their vehicle needs.
Have you gone to the digital vehicle inspection technology?
We have not yet.
Okay.
No. I'm aware of it, and I've looked at it, but we haven't pulled the trigger yet. That's one of those things where I want to do it, and my family members don't, and so we don't.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
part of being in a family business, but I think we'll get there.
And I'm sure, Bill, I can't imagine how great you can relate to all your constituents that own small businesses. And in Yuma, it's got to be all small business, right?
There's a lot of small business here, yes. Yes, we do not have a community that have the giant 1,000 person shops and manufacturing. We have some manufacturing, but it's pretty small. So it's not like you see in the large urban areas.
You're a member of ASA, am I right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Has ASA been a great association to be part of?
Absolutely. I tell people that I probably would not be in business today if it were not for ASA. And a guy by the name of Bill Mason, back in the day, basically tricked me into getting involved with the status level and talked me into becoming the president of the local chapter. Oh, by the way, that means you're on the board. And so I got involved with the board. They were bringing training in. And so I thought, well, it's up in Phoenix. It's hard to do. But if I'm going to be on the board, I need to show support and show the people in our community that I support training. So I started going to management training, and man, did I find out what I didn't know. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You don't know what you don't know until you start learning. It's like I learned so much about how to properly run a business that I can easily say and truthfully say it probably saved our company. I don't think we'd exist without the training that I got through ASA.
Mm. So you kept that up by getting involved in a coaching group?
Yes, a few years ago. Training is hard to come by here. We never get management training without travel, and and business. Our economy was tough. I mean, we were in the 30% unemployment range here in Yuma County for a number of years.
And is that because of the government contracts, big corporations?
No. Well, it has partially to do with our proximity to the border and also the agriculture industry.
Okay.
So a lot of people work for half the year in agriculture, then they go on unemployment, and that affects the numbers. But traditionally, we were around 16%, which is really very, very high, but that's normal for us. So we were double our normal. And our business was, quite frankly, it was just suffering, and I didn't have any answers. I had done everything I knew to do, and it wasn't turning around. So, yes, I called Elite, Bob Cooper's outfit, and found out about their program they call Pro Service. And for those of you who may have heard of 20 groups, it's like a 20 group.
Right.
It's got some variances, but Jim Murphy, and I know you've interviewed Jim Murphy, he's the coach of that. And so that's been extremely helpful.
Everybody who's with Jim Murphy has nothing but great things to say. Well, tell me a good Jim Murphy story.
Oh, put me on the spot, huh? Actually, he's really responsible for our latest television commercial. I wrote a nice commercial based on trust. That is our kind of our motto. And so I sent it to him, and I said, "Hey, Jim, what do you think of this?" I'd worked real hard on it. I was pretty proud of it. So he writes back and he says, "Yeah, it's nice, but is it memorable?" And so I reread it a couple of times, thought about the video I was putting with it, and decided, no, it's not memorable. And I remembered about 15 years ago, I made a commercial where they dumped a bucket of water over my head, kind of like the winning coach type thing.
Okay, right.
People talked about that for 10 years after that commercial didn't air. So I thought, I know how to make a memorable commercial. So we made another one like that, where my boys dump a bucket of water over my head at the end of the commercial. And so people talk about it all the time. You see them in the street, and a lot of people want to comment, was it really cold? How many takes did it take? And, Jim is responsible for that. I would have not thought of that if he hadn't prodded me.
Isn't it great to have either a business coach, an accountability partner that you can run things off of and ultimately challenges your thinking on things?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've run something by him and he says, no, that doesn't work. A lot of guys have tried it. It doesn't work. It's like, okay, thanks. Just saved me a lot of marketing dollars on something I thought was a good idea.
What's great to hear is how receptive you are to those ideas.
Yeah, that's a great point, Carm. For those who are listening and have gone to the training, especially management training, you get all fired up and this sounds good. Come back, and then the grind hits and you don't make the changes. And so it's important that you make decisions. A long time ago, I told my staff, we are making no more changes in our company at all, no changes. And they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. I go, however, we are going to continuously make improvements. And so there's everything in a word. You talk about, we're going to change this process. Oh, change, the fences go up. But if you talk about improvements, like, oh, really? We're going to do something better? My life's going to be easier? So that helps. But it's important to come back and implement those things you've learned. And you know what, Carm, not everything works. We've implemented stuff that just didn't work. And sometimes it works for one guy and not the other, but you don't know until you try it.
Boy, do I agree with you on that. You talk about, so tell me what your discipline would be. You go away, or you come off a call with Jim, you've taken some great notes. Is your discipline to file them? Is your discipline to work at assigning someone to be responsible for that quote unquote improvement?
I would love to say I just get in there and hammer down, but I don't, to be very honest with you. I sometimes procrastinate. I also get a lot of pushback, it's just one of those family dynamics. It's like, well, you're putting too much on them. You're constantly trying to get them to do this and then do that. It's like, yeah, but I think this is a good idea. So sometimes I win and sometimes I don't.
Well, let's talk family dynamic. It's so interesting. I did come from a family business. I sold my business, went to work for a family business. And so I've been around a lot of family dynamic. So you're on a coaching call with Jim Murphy, but is the rest of the family who leads the company on that same call?
No, I've invited them, but they're always.
You know where I'm going with this, right?
Oh yeah, they should be, but it's just what it is. And you have to pick your battles.
I understand.
And so, I keep chipping away at it, and I'll get them there.
So if mom or dad were still here, what would they be saying about how the family dynamic works?
Well, I think they'd be pretty pleased. 20 years ago, my sister and I, we did not see eye to eye. But that's changed. We've both changed. We grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm extremely fortunate in that she understands the value of debt reduction. When Dad passed, and so that we're, taking care of our mom, and when she finally passed, then they'd had some insurance that was to take care of the business. And we were fortunate at the time. That's when the business tax, the death tax had gone to zero that particular year. And so we took that money, and it would have been really easy to buy a new car, maybe some ATVs, a little bit of toys. Yeah. But because she's like-minded, we plowed it into debt, and it was very advantageous when things got tough.
Yeah, I know. And great. Thank you for being so honest and transparent and sharing that with us, because I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are in your absolute same shoes. I know it. Third generation. So you're second. Yes. You're second. So who's coming up in the third?
My sons. Both of my sons went into the business. I encouraged them to go to college. They both gave me the same song and dance. So, Dad, come on, just 1 year off. Let me just go to work for 1 year and I'll go back to school. Well, I gave my dad the same song and dance. And so it was, they just got into the business and got busy. So I'm extremely fortunate. My oldest boy is an extremely talented technician. He's a very, very sharp young man. He knows diagnostics extremely well. He stays informed on the industry and changes. And so as the person who is technically savvy, the business is going to have that. And it's so important in the high technology era that we're going forward in. And my youngest son, he likes doing the tow truck part of it. And so we've got a fleet of tow trucks. Small, it's got 5 drivers.
Okay.
And so he's taking the lead in that, and he enjoys doing that.
Excellent.
And so they're both well entrenched in the business.
Now, your older son, who's the tech, and you say he's staying current. Give me an idea of what he means by staying current. I mean, and you say there's not a lot of good training in Yuma. He's got to go. Is he doing online? Are you sending him places?
I do send him to training opportunities where possible. Donnie Cypher's holding an event up in Detroit soon.
Yep.
And so Jeff is my oldest boy. Jeff is going to go.
Good.
Donnie extended an invitation and talked to Jeff. It's like, hey, you don't want to pass this up. It's on connected cars and, all the stuff coming up. A lot of engineers will be there and, representation from the automakers. So it's a good opportunity for him. And mostly he's well-read. He just stays on IATN and reads up on technical articles. Usually I'll send him something. It's like, yeah, I read that. So
wow, good.
He's very well read.
Good.
Yeah.
Any great habit to share with an entrepreneur like you in the industry that really you could look back and say, hey, this is really what's made me successful. And the thing that I loved that you said a while back is that we change. The Russell McCloud from 10 years ago is not the Russell McCloud today. So a good habit.
Well, for me, I think it's just a good work ethic. I'm an owner, and I know other people in my position. Wednesday's golf day, or Friday afternoon is golf day. I can't do that. When my people are at work, I need to be at work. When we were open the day after Thanksgiving, I was here. I didn't take the 4-day weekend because I expected people to be here. So, I think just staying engaged, leading by example. Yeah. I'm at work every day, so you should be at work every day. And I think one of the important things that I learned was the morale of your coworkers is very important. And so I pay a lot of attention to that. It means a lot to me. I want to take care of our people, and taking care of things that affect morale are very important.
Morale, you could sometimes equate it to having a good culture inside the business. Is there a family environment inside of?
I think so. Yeah, it feels that way. That's what we tell them. It's like, hey, you're part of this family. We're in this together. What's good for one of us is good for all of us. And I'm really very proud of our length of service. I mean, we don't go through very many people. I'm not very good at hiring, thank goodness. And I'm actually kind of poor at it. I once hired a technician that didn't even have a driver's license because I forgot to ask. It was a long time ago. I remember now. I learned from that one. But yeah, we're kind of proud of that. People work here for a very long time. One of my guys, a 25-year guy, he said coming to work here is a life sentence. So I wasn't sure how to take that at first, but I realized that was actually a compliment.
Yeah, I bet you it was. Anything holding you back right now, Russell?
No, not really. We would like to be busier, of course. I do struggle with car counts. That's one of the things that I got into Jim Murphy's program, was to help improve that. And so they've given me some insights. What I was ignoring was my current customer base and setting the next appointment. And that was really hard. It took me a long time to get them to do that. But they now are effectively doing that. So we will see the fruit from those labors. Should be very soon, actually. We'll start seeing that.
Well, because you mentioned to the degree that you're doing maintenance work versus repair work, and doesn't that really equate to setting that next appointment and getting the customer to come in for maintenance work versus breakdown work?
Right. It does. We want them to get in the habit of coming here and, allowing us to do the services on their vehicles. So, setting that next appointment was very, very important. I learned it years ago. I just couldn't get the buy-in from everybody. But I finally sat down and I just kind of threw a little hissy fit and said, look, you've charged me with making sure we keep going into the future. This is my decision. This is what we need to do. It's the next step that we have to take. And so finally I got family buy-in, and that helps.
I heard you say you're working with Jim and your focus is on, improving car count and looking at the current customer base, and maybe referrals is in there somewhere. But you also,
it is, of course, yes.
You also said, hey, I'm responsible for the marketing piece of the company. What better person? Or, if you love marketing and that's what you're responsible for to grow that revenue side of the business, that exposure side, what are you working on?
Well, right now I'm working on a couple of things, and it's more toward, again, customer retention. I'm switching companies to a new company. I think I have an interview with the company owner on Friday. His product looks and sounds very good. So it will help with retention, and also working with a company to grow our reviews, because I believe reviews are just so much more important now than they ever were. And so I believe in that. So those are the things I'm working on right now to increase those things.
I'm curious about the retention piece. Without telling me who the company is, what are you looking at doing?
We're looking at tailoring our follow-up more closely to the actual vehicle mileage. And so it's something I've been working on, but this gentleman seems to have a real good program that will help me work on that. And then he says he's built an algorithm that will target our best customers, so that we are really working hard on getting the best customers back in the door more frequently, because it's the old 80-20.
Yeah, it's kind of a software solution. Digging into the database and culling it and
right. Yeah. Okay. It's one of those, cold calling me, I'll take your call, but it's almost always no. But every once in a while, there's a gem in there. You have to be willing to listen. And so this individual caught my attention, and I looked at his PowerPoint thing, online, and it's like, this is pretty cool. So I'm going to try it out. Like I said, doesn't always work, but we'll find out. I'll know in 5 or 6 months.
Hey, what's the best advice your dad ever gave you?
That's a good question. He gave me a lot of advice. Mostly, I think it was just integrity. There's plenty of work out there without cheating people. And so I think the best advice he ever gave me was just, keep your head up, do the right thing, always do the right thing for the right reason, and things will work for you.
Community, what are you doing?
I've got a few things going on. I'm in Rotary, and so I enjoy that. We've got a great club here, really vibrant, a lot of really good people. I also am on the board of what's known locally as Amberley's Place.
Okay.
It's a victims advocacy center. So this is a center where persons who have experienced domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, child molestation. They can go there where it's a safe, comfortable environment, and the law enforcement then goes to that location and interviews them in a very comfortable family room-like atmosphere. So they're not sitting, and there's also a medical suite there. So in the past, they'd have to go sit in the emergency room. And the doctors, they didn't want to testify, and they don't have a bleeding, broken arm, broken bone victim there. So they'd sit there for hours, sometimes 10, 12 hours, right in a public waiting room with a uniformed officer next to them. And so it's very uncomfortable. So what we've seen is with this more comfortable environment, reporting has gone up, and of all of that type of activity. And it's just amazing, the child molestation that you find. It's there, but we've got to teach the kids and the teachers in the schools. It's very important. They give them training. The schools invite people in from Amberley's Place, and they get mandated reporter training. And every time they do that, reports spike. And so that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of being involved with, because of the tremendous positive impact it has on so many lives.
When I think about you're a pillar of your community as a business person, a legacy business, third generation, and the county supervisor, I can imagine the power that your presence at Amberley would bring to that organization. Wow.
Well, I think that's very kind. We've got a good board, and a lot of good people on there. And
wow.
We just recently completed a building program. We've got a new building they moved into, which is like 4 times the space of the other one. It's just a fabulous state-of-the-art facility. And Carm, what's sad when I take people through on tours, one of the things I always say to them is, at the end of the tour, the sad truth is, just think how many communities in our country don't have anything like this, and how difficult these types of crimes are for people to deal with. And so we're very fortunate in our community that people really come together to support the program. There's a lot of charitable giving. That's how they are able to assist victims. And so it's nice to be part of that, and part of a community that supports something like that.
It's good that you're giving back like that. Look, it's been great talking to you. Wow, I enjoyed this so much, Russell. And I always ask my guest some great words to live by, your secret to your success. And you may have already said it, the thing your dad told you about integrity and trust. But is there anything else, any other great, piece of wisdom that you could share with our listener?
No, Carm, I don't think so. I think most of us know it. It's pretty much live by the golden rule.
Yeah.
Treat other people like you'd like to be treated. Be respectful to people. If you are in disagreement, that's okay. It's okay to disagree. We were talking politics. Well, I would sit down with one of our legislators and spend 5-10 minutes explaining why she should vote like I wanted her to, and she would explain 5 or 10 minutes why she wasn't going to. And at the end of that conversation, we would hug and part friends. And so that's the way things should work.
I'm in the state of politics in our country today, I am moved. I am so moved by what you just said. And, that to me is what politics has always been. It's always been in my world, that people negotiate and they talk and they share their ideals and principles. And you just basically said, hey, this is how we do it there in Yuma.
Right. I mean, we disagree sometimes. Sometimes we agree, and that's great. But when we disagree, we have to disagree respectfully, listen to each other's viewpoints. Maybe I can be persuaded. That sometimes happens. When you get all of the facts, you might, look at something differently. And so I think if we would all slow down and do that a little bit better, our entire nation would be a little bit better off.
Thanks, man, for being on the show.
You're welcome. I can't believe how quick it went.
Hey, thanks, Russell McCloud, for your very honest and transparent view of your world. More on Russell on his show notes page at remarkableresults.biz/E203. Hey, it's always great to connect with you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And don't forget to download the podcast app on Apple or Android. It's in the App Store. Search for Remarkable Results Radio and download. You'll have every episode right at your fingertips. Hey, I love to hear from you. Send me an email, carm@remarkableresults.biz. Let me know what's on your mind, what subjects you'd like covered, who you'd like me to interview, and even what you think of the show. I read every letter, and thanks for listening. Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from another inspiring aftermarket professional. Until next time.